Hi everyone, my name is Jessenia. I am the New England Psychic Medium. I can be found here on YouTube or on Facebook or on Instagram through my New England Psychic Medium name and page. This is a video I've been wanting to make for a long time. And I'm gonna do my best to explain it because I don't yet have it written out. There's a whole system to this that I plan on creating a book about, and I plan on evolving the information as it comes forward. But I'll talk a little bit about myself so you understand where I'm getting the information. So I am an Akashic Realm Channeler. The Akashic Realm is a database, a soul database of many universes. It actually has a Centiverse database. So it's the multiverse's mother is what I call it. And this has to talk, this database has information on soul groups, soul origin, soul birth, soul trauma, past lives, current life, spiritual gifts. It has a lot of information, and my job here on earth in this particular incarnation is to use that information to help people open to their soul, ascend, and raise their energy and their vibration, and essentially save the world through spiritual understanding. So I have been pushed by my guides and energies to really start putting myself out there more, and it's been forcing me to, you know, kind of make more videos and get that out there. So this is information that I already have in my book, New England is Spiritual Development with the New England Psychic Medium. But it kind of adds to that. It is an extension of the book on a focus on empath gifts. Now, I work with clients all over the world, and one of the things that I do, it's called Akashic Report 3, focuses on soul level gifts. Now, the way I see gifts are, I see somebody's energetic body or soul, and I see their chakras, and our chakras, most people have chakras, some do not. A chakra is really just an energetic filing system. It is not tied to any particular religion or modality in my case. I'm using general information that I'm getting from my guides. Everything actually that I use is directly obtained from my connections. I don't have any modalities or religions that I use, and I think it's an important part of my process, as my guides have explained it untainted. So, you know, I am trained simply by spirit for that very direct connection. So something that I want to explain today are empath gifts. Now, when I see an empath, it's interesting to me because an empath is actually a highly evolved soul, and they're coming into a place of compassion. Compassion is an all-knowing being, an all-knowing fraction of yourself. So essentially, you're awakening to the soul in a way where you are highly intuitive to the people around you. So this has its ups and its downs. Most people call it a gift. It's empath gift. To me, it's not really, I see it in the gift system through different ways, but to me, it's more like a sign of evolution, soul evolution. Now, we all come to Earth to evolve and understand Earth and take on the mission and lesson of Earth. And in that way, we're all evolving through our lessons here. But there are different levels of empath. And this is important to understand because people put empath in kind of like a bubble, and they just say that, you know, this is what it is and that's how it's going to stay. But the gift of it's not just empathy. I want to make that clear. Empathy is kind of just feeling sorry for somebody or feeling somebody's feelings temporarily because they kind of coaxed you into it, or because you had to, or because you know them. Now, an empath can walk into a building or room, a mall, and they can feel everything to the point where they don't like public, they don't like people, they don't like busy places, they don't like negative energy, they don't really like TV, they don't really like the news. And there are definitely different levels of this. You might have somebody who's just a little bit socially awkward and doesn't like to go out into public places. And you might have somebody who's completely doused in their empath gifts and abilities. And this is somebody who really probably like me. When I was younger and I would go into the mall, I would have a complete shutdown. I couldn't think. I can barely see is how it works. Like I'm naturally pretty blind. But the way that it works is the air around me gets so fuzzy and charged that I just can't see anything. Sometimes, you know, people have to hold my hand and walk me through these spaces. I get panic attacks. I can't breathe. I can't focus. I feel sadness. I feel grief. I pick up everybody's emotions, and it's very overwhelming for me. And this mostly happens at malls, which is interesting to me. And I think it's because people go to malls for shop therapy. So people go to malls to take their mind off of the stuff that's stressing them out at home. And when I go there and I show up, it's all I feel. All of that chaos and all of that stress, and people just trying to buy their way out of their emotions. So it's very, very overwhelming for me. So that's kind of some of the aspects that we go about. Now, a lot of people associate empath gifts with constant torture. They truly believe that because they are an empath, I'm sorry, my glasses are so dirty. They truly believe that because they are an empath, now I'm not supposed to do this with them, that's bad. This is bad glasses cleaning habits. They truly believe because they are an empath, they have to suffer. I deal with this all the time. They're like, well, I'm constantly miserable. I can't go out. I've let it destroy my life. I can't have relationships or friends. I can't keep up with people. And I'm just like, well, have you thought about training those gifts? Have you thought about taking control? And many times they're just like, no, why would I do that? And I'm just like, well, because when you take control of your gifts, that's part of mastery. No master has ever been like, oh, the way you get to be a master is through acting erratically and letting yourself be taken advantage of or abused. No, that's never been a thing. So it's important to understand that if you want to control your gifts, you have to stop letting them control you. And that's part of the mastery process. That's part of the self-development process. Now, I do that with my spiritual development class. I have a group of 10, and I take them on every couple weeks, every other month, I think. And we work further on developing skills. But today we're just going to talk about the specific empath structure. Now, it does vary. Like I said, there are levels. And I'm sorry, my dog's whining. My other dog is in heat, so he just cries all day. It's pretty bad. So there are different variations of empath structure. I'm talking today about a very general and common one that I see in a lot of my clients. So I took notes so that I could make sure I hit all the points that I wanted to hit. So the chakras are energetic filing systems, and when I scan the chakras, I'll find fragments of the empath gift. Now, fragments of empath gift mean that depending on which level empath you are, you have maybe 2 chakras that are in that kind of state of, you know, absorbing your environment and digesting energy around you, or you can have all your chakras that are in that state of digesting your environment and absorbing your environment. So, sorry, I have like a light flashing in my eyes. The root chakra is usually our filtration system for the empath body. Now, I'll make a little ridiculous diagram right here so we can talk about this. Look at this really awesome human being I made. So if this is like your energetic body, the root chakra is around your tailbone. And this plays a very vital role in empaths. The reason being that all empaths have a multitude of gift systems, and it starts with the root. Now, when I read chakras, I read the major chakras. We have a bunch of minor chakras. We do have chakras in our hands and our feet, and those are lumped together with the closest major chakras. For example, hands with the heart and feet with the root. So, an empath is somebody who can absorb energy in their environment and digest that energy. How they do that, how many chakras they have lit, all really depend. The root is our filtration system. The root is how we push energy back to earth for transmutation. It takes energy, negative energy, that we've absorbed in our environment through our clients or through our friends or even just being out, and it pushes it through to earth. Now, earth can take that energy and she can filter it and she can clean it up. Sometimes we have different ways of disposing of those energies. For example, some people who also are mediums might use portals. They might open a portal and dump it in a realm that has the same energy. So they might dump the negative energy in a realm that has the same vibrational tone. So it fits well there, and it isn't a nuisance because that's where they are. It matches their code system. Or they might put it in like a healing realm, or they might send it for being recharged and cleansed. Or if we have a person who has an angelic soul group connection, or they are of the angelic soul group, or they are an incarnated angel, they usually are the ones that call upon archangels to come in and remove the negative energy once they're done with it. So the next system that I see in an empath is the Sacral Chakra area, which is our reproductive organs, and it's the second one up. It's orange. It's associated with the color orange. And this has to do with motion, freedom, movement, self-expression. And to me, the code is freedom is what I always get. So anything that represses you, anything that shames you, anything that makes you feel like you have to fit in a certain box to be worthy of something or someone's attention or admiration, or to fit into certain structures, that would be a block. Now, in this energy zone, usually what I see is it can work in different ways. So usually this is where we absorb the energy around us. Sometimes these people who have these gifts, so there's many versions of this. I'll start with the first one. The first one is somebody who tries to heal people through intercourse. This is somebody who gives themselves freely to many people because they feel like they're healing people. Usually they don't even know what they're doing. They're just trying to kind of give it away to everybody all the time, and they don't even realize why and how. And it's because they have this overjuiced, overvamped energy that is trying to heal others. So in all those connections, they actually take negativity from the people around them because they're drawn to people who need fixing, who need healing. So they take the negative energy and they leave their positive energy all around them in hundreds of manners or ways, or if that is how this person is structured. Then we have somebody who might just put energetic feelers out there, is what I call it. Everything is energy. So there's energy in the air. So a highly sensitive empath can actually feel the energy in the air. They can get information from the energy in the air. The charged particles bring them messages. So that is another version of it. Now that one can manifest into much bigger gifts. And an example of this is if you could feel the air, then you could feel the air around people and you could read people. Or if you could feel the air, then you could feel the air around animals and you could read animals. Or you could read plants, or you could read anything really, because it evolves and continues evolving into your sensitivity has evolved to all. So that's really the goal, is read all, know all, feel all, be connected to soul. And then there's another version, and it is somebody who actually uses elementals. Now, elementals are beings of the elements. And some people, some cultures, some belief systems call them fairies. Now, they are elementals: spirit, wind, water, earth, fire. I think that's all of them. And they have little beings of light. They're like little energetic workers that work through this realm and other realms. And these are people that are very drawn to them. Actually, interestingly enough, if you have somebody who has an elemental gift, every time they take a picture, there's always an orb in it. And it's because they're calling upon elementals. That is part of their gift. So that's how they obtain energy and information from their surroundings. They're actually being brought it by their little tiny worker friends. So it's interesting. And I know it all sounds wild, but like I said, it resonates with the people who get the reading. They know absolutely that it's true because they have a super strong connection to elementals, or they have a super strong connection to nature. Now, elementals do work directly with nature. So these are people that love to be outside, love to hike, love to work with the elements and celebrate the elements. Many times these people actually have ceremonies for the elements because they're so drawn to this kind of connection, and they usually do these ceremonies outside. So that is a way people use that energy. Then we have the solar plexus. Solar plexus is located right about here. It's yellow and it radiates. So sometimes empaths will use this to flush the area. Now, the way I see it is, this is a radiant energy. It is reflected by the sun. It is what feeds your environment, and it is also a reflection of what's inside. So if we are radiant, healing, high vibrational people, then we are radiating that to people around us. If you are an empath, what you really are doing is you're taking the negativity from a being and you're digesting it and you're leaving it in your chakras. And then you replace that with our radiant energy. So you're filtering out. So many times what empaths actually do is they take in the energy and they forget to do the rest because they aren't aware of the system. They aren't aware of the cycle. So what we have is somebody who's absorbing. And that's why empaths get very bad. Now, I have to say, I am not a doctor. I'm not giving medical advice. I'm giving advice from spirit and information from spirit. So I can only share what I've seen, and I definitely always recommend seeing a doctor if you have issues, pains, aches, problems, or you feel like something is amiss or wrong. I always recommend getting medical help or medical attention first and foremost. But a lot of people with this issue here, this gift of empathy, where they are taking in their environment and not properly flushing it, it creates what I see as aches and pains, anxiety, chest pressure. These are people that feel discomfort in a group of people. It literally, you feel it. When you are not functioning properly, you feel it. You will get symptoms of this. So they're taking, and many times this really intense density here can also manifest into deep depression. And it makes sense because what you're doing is you're always absorbing the negative things in your environment. And if you are not flushing that negativity, then you're just collecting it. And eventually this leads us to feeling very low, very down, very exhausted, very drained, very tired, and very irritable. Irritable because we are essentially starving. Because we are not completing the digesting process and we are taking on all this negativity, our light is starving. So then we get like to a survival mode where we get irritable, we get explosive, we get tired, we get defensive. And this is why, one of the main reasons why I love to share this information, because healers need to be healthy. So many healers are out there trying to work, trying to help others, trying to do their best, and they drain themselves. They take on all this negative energy. They aren't using their gifts appropriately, and they find themselves stuck time and time and time again and feeling really heavy and weighted and feeling like their gifts are abusing them and not assisting them or the world. And we really, really, really need people to begin awakening. There's a huge shift coming and we have to be ready for it. Meaning that all these people who are using their gifts erratically and feeling this deep pressure, these pains, these aches, this sadness, this deep heaviness, this darkness, are not connecting properly. And it's so vital and important for the process that they be connected properly so that they can help and heal the proper way and we can move this shift through the right way. Now, the next part of the shift or the gift system is the heart. The heart being the healer in us all. Now, the healer is connected to our hands. Many times in empaths, I see that they have a healing gift to work energy through somebody, and this means removing negative energy and replacing it with positive energy. So we channel the energy through the crown and out through the hands, and we replace the negative energy in somebody's energetic body. This is important because if you didn't know this, you are taking somebody's energy and you are not replacing or healing them or yourself. You're just taking it, you absorb it. This is the easiest thing that empaths do. So it means it needs the least amount of training. They just absorb naturally. So if you're absorbing this energy and you're leaving people depleted, they will immediately revert back to what they did to get that. So they go back and get more. And you could be putting people in danger this way. This is like the more time you spend with people, the more messed up that they get, really is what it is, because what you're doing is you're taking that out of them and then they go fill it. They don't know what's going on. So it's important to understand what's happening, that you need to remove, digest, release, and then heal, and then add energy from the crown. You're accepting it from the highest of source through the crown down to the body and out through the hands. Filters through the heart first and out through the hands. So I always recommend training, obviously, because without proper training, then you're really not going to be doing the right thing, and you're still going to feel depleted, you're still going to feel blocked. But it's general information to kind of click, because like I said, when somebody first told me I was an empath, I had no idea what it was. But the second I started looking into it, it all makes sense. But the thing is that there are no answers out there. It is literally like, you're an empath, now suffer. And that's all. Just suffer. And everybody's suffering. And I have all these groups, and I join all these groups, and they're all suffering. And it's so true, because there's not enough information out there to tell us why we feel this way, why our energy is working this way, why we feel obstructed, and why we feel so blocked and heavy. There's nothing out there to teach us how to defend our energy and develop our gifts. So I do recommend more development before you work on anybody, but it's nice to know, is why I share. So the heart being the projector, the healer. Then we have the throat chakra. Usually in an empath gift system, the throat is the healing voice. And this is something we usually channel from our soul group. And the reason why is because our soul groups are smarter. Our soul creator, our soul group creator, it's like getting information from the collective. The collective would be a grand amount of beings that are all coming together and speaking. If you've ever heard of the channelings of Michael or something, I'm not sure what it's called, but they talk about the collective. Essentially, if you're talking to your, if you're talking to your creator, your soul group creator, your creator's connected to the collective, your soul group collective. Therefore, you're channeling very high vibrational energy, and you are helping people through compassionate words. So that is like the verbal component of it, healing somebody through counseling or direction, or encouraging them, or giving them that last grain of hope, the love and compassion they were seeking to feel better about their situation, or to find or see that there's an out. So let's see. I'm going to go over my notes. So we do have the third eye in the crown, but usually those are not associated with empath gifts. Usually those are just people who have other gifts, and they would find them in the crown in the third eye. So the throat sometimes isn't even associated with the empath gifts. Sometimes we just have the lower 4 chakras. So that's important to understand too. And somebody who's just beginning might just have the root chakra, or just have the lower 2. So that's important to understand too. So I already went over some of these. Let me just go through my notes. Okay, so the biggest thing that I have to train people on when they come to me with this gift or these gifts is I have to train them to understand energy by protecting their own. So the way that I've found healing for myself is developing a good grounding system. Grounding is the act of extending our root chakra through our legs, down through our feet chakras into earth, and anchoring ourselves to earth. This is really important because many times in our spiritual development process, we work on our spirit, never actually putting any thought into our physical body. And we have to understand that we are both. A strong soul is the perfect merger between a strong body and a strong soul. So we have to be both. We have to take care of our vessel. The stronger our vessel is, the stronger our spirit can come through. So we do have to take care of our physical. And being well grounded, well rooted, is actually our connection to the physical, to Mother Earth. We are earthly beings. We are tied to Earth through our feet, our root chakras. Now, if we have somebody who's always picking up energy in their surroundings, we can feel airy, we can feel dizzy, we can feel confused. Those are the symptoms connected to not being grounded properly. So again, like I explained earlier, being at the mall was really hard for me before I learned to ground properly. Now I set myself up before I go, I check my energy, I do this process that I'm going to explain here right now, and then I can walk through and get what I need to do done and leave. Still hate them all though, but still it works. It's a system. So grounding is imperative. There are a lot of ways to ground. Some people imagine anchors coming out of their feet. Some people imagine roots going down through Earth's core. Some people imagine a waterfall cascading over their crown down to their body, through their feet, and down into Earth. So it creates like a actual spout cycle and keeps you in the water. Now, for some reason, that one resonated with me the most. It really just depends what works for you. Now, sometimes we have such intense root chakra damage that we cannot properly root. No matter how much we try, we always feel disconnected. We always feel airy. We always feel like a kite floating around in the wind with no anchor. This can be a huge sign of intense root chakra damage, and usually that's of a past life or current life. Most of the obstructions I find in the root chakra have to do with extreme trauma regarding physical pain, bodily pain, or trauma to the family. And this is like, you know, a house burning down and seeing your kids go down in the house. It's really intense, painful stuff. So if it's something that you can't clear on your own, then you would have to see somebody to help you clear it. I myself see people to help me clear. I just got out of a session today and got rid of some stuff that was lingering that I just could not grasp. You know, when you're personally involved, sometimes we just cling to it and have a very hard time releasing. I do have on my website, I'm going to set up, I've been working on the material to set up a continued healing page where I have links and chakra information where people can go for guided meditations and healing and that help clear their chakras. It's like a chakra code, and that system is something I've seen and developed with my Akashic Realm connections. So I plan on offering that on the site for free, hopefully soon. So when we properly set up a grounding system and we remove our obstructions to the root, we should feel very connected to Earth. And then we could begin to develop our chakras. Our chakras are really like a flowing system, and I always do this, and it's like people associate it with the snake, the Kundalini, and the reason is, and it always starts at the root, and the reason is because if your root is intensely blocked, then your rest of your chakras will follow. You can have a very connected crown because this is it goes upward, right? And then you can have blocked everything else because it's like a dam. It creates a dam in your energetic body. So releasing that begins the flow, the awakening. All your chakras and energies begin to rebalance. So it's incredibly important. Essentially, unlocking the root could offer healing all over your energetic body. Now, so before I leave the house, and at night even before bed, at night before bed I take a shower and I do a shower cord cutting session. And during that cord cutting session, I imagine the blades of water cutting off any attachments I've made during the day and cleansing my soul and body, removing any negativity down to earth through the drain and to filter. I make that a daily habit because, like I said, we naturally pick stuff up even if we're protected. So that's an essential part of the process, to constantly cleanse and release the energy. Then I move to before I leave the house in the morning, I do a body scan. While I'm still laying in bed, I'm calm and relaxed. I just scan the body. I haven't come into contact with anybody yet. So I should be at like that level of homeostasis, that level of complete neutrality, that level of no obstructions or problems. I scan the body, I see, well, I slept funny, so I have a neck pain. Great, that's gonna follow me all day. Let's just move on and we continue our day. The reason I do this is because now when you leave the house and you get a weird ache or pain, you know it's not yours. You did not wake up with it, it is not yours. You can release it very quickly. Being aware of your physical body helps us not pick up other things when we're out. It helps us not pick up other people's energetic body after we leave our space. Then the next thing that I do is I set up either a cylinder or a pyramid. I like the pyramid. I like the pyramid because it's very bottom heavy and I have always had a hard time grounding. And my pyramid has a pinhole at the top, just enough for my crown chakra to beam through and reach my highest self. higher self is your soul, but it's the collective soul. It's your soul that resides on the other side. We have a fragment of our higher self in our incarnations, and our higher self is always connected to source, and it's where we derive our connection and our information. So this pyramid or cylinder, I always tell people to imagine it of a selenite material or of an opalite material. I like opalite and I like pyramid. That's what resonates with me. Other people have different things that resonate with them. Now, this thing follows you everywhere. It does not move. It does not change. You set it up and it hangs out all day. And what you're doing is you're adding a filter to your absorbing system. This filter blocks out negativity and negative energy. Now, if you want to actively read somebody or actively absorb something to heal or release it, then you just choose. You now have control. It's your filter. So you can decide to pick something up. You are now in control of the filtration system. You can now release it. So it allows us to create, it's like a protective barrier. The next part of this is being properly connected to source. Now, if we are somebody who suffers from a lot of headaches or migraines, like I said, you need to consult your doctor and make sure it's not an actual medical issue that could be dangerous. But when I was digging through, well, when I heal people in work, and what I've seen is that if we have blocks to our crown chakra, we get aches and pains all through this crown area. And you can actually, well, I can actually pull them out and see them. And in them we have trauma blocks, and it usually has to do with a distrust to humanity, a distrust to souls, and it usually has to do to fearing our connection. And we live in a world that is definitely turned spirituality into kind of a scary thing, because a lot of religions do teach that, you know, we will never be enough and that we are all terrible people and everybody's going to burn in hell. So there are a lot of things out there that would cause that kind of fear and disconnect us, which is sad, because if we are not connected, then we cannot retrieve information from our higher self. We are not flushing our energy safely, and we are not fully using our soul function. We are not in full soul potential. So it's something that we must come to terms with. And if that's you, if you're having a lot of aches and pains there, and if you're having a very hard time getting intuition, and even getting just like what I call like black, when every time you try to connect, you just get black, instead of getting colors, visuals, signs, signals, or animals even in your guided meditations, that will help. That means that you're blocked. I do have a guided meditation on my YouTube page that I recommend. It just goes through the chakras and helps us clean and clear and align our chakras and then connect us to our higher self. That's something that you could do if you have to read somebody, or if you're using any tools of divination. I recommend it, because even using a pendulum without first connecting to higher self or high vibrational energy can allow negative energy into your environment. So it's important to understand. Okay, now the interesting thing about this is empaths have a direct connection to narcissists, and it's just a theme. For example, like I said, a lot of empaths assume they have no control over their gifts or their environment. They assume that they have no control over their energy, and they freely give that energy away to everybody, and it is draining us, and it is killing us, and it means that we cannot complete our goals here in this life, in this incarnation. So narcissists do naturally get drawn to us when we are at a place where we are not respecting our energetic barriers or boundaries. So it is a necessary lesson that empaths need to take on. Therefore, you see a lot of empaths naturally drawing in narcissists. And you have to understand that the reason they are coming into your experience is because you have no boundaries. You have no system that says, I am in control. I decide where my energy goes, and I'm not feeding you because you're starving me. So narcissists are somebody who takes energy from everybody instead of gives. And empaths are givers. So we both have very important roles, because we have a lesson and we have a student. The lesson being, learn your boundaries, control your energy, control your gifts, so that you can finally awaken to your soul and assist humanity as you're supposed to, instead of letting random people feed off of you. Once you've dealt with this and finally learned the lesson, you set up your boundaries. You set up your proper energetic barriers so that people stop abusing your energy so that you can freely heal. So if you keep attracting this kind of people into your life, it is because you still have that lesson to learn. And it is important, a very important lesson at that, because, you know, the longer we're in that lesson, the longer we suffer, because those are very difficult lessons in relationships, to say the least. So, words. Empaths also are very natural lie detectors. They feel energy. So if you're not being authentic, if you're not being honest, if you're not really, you know, then they know. They just know. They feel it. And for that reason, they're also very drawn to very blunt people and real people and people who are not always perfect, because they know that at least they're being real. So if you look around your life and you have a bunch of crazy people that are very blunt, crazy people are my favorite. I just mean people that are blunt and kind of, you know, honest, and that's a good thing, because it means that you don't have to worry about them lying, and that's why we're drawn to those kind of people. So it's just a thing to understand that we are natural human lie detectors, so listen to your intuition. But when we are using our gifts inappropriately, we are very consumed with negativity, and that means we are full of negativity, so we radiate what we are. That means that you are always looking for the negative first. You are always looking for the worst of humanity all the time, because you are full of it, because you're taking it on from everybody around you. So even a very high vibrational, intuitive soul that is supposed to come down here to heal can get stuck in that kind of cycle, because when we are full of that negativity, it's all we see. And then we truly believe that that's it for us. And for this reason, some of us use other tools of coping. For example, when we get into that cycle where we are pure negativity because we've absorbed the negativity, we don't know how to get rid of it, and that's all we project, so it's all that we see, so it's all that we attract. We get into this vicious cycle of like bad luck, negative energy, nothing works out. We attract nobody that's good for us. We're in horrible relationships time and time again. We can't keep a job. We have taken no accountability for our life. And then we look for other coping mechanisms, which definitely come out as drugs. They can come out as other forms of addiction, codependence, pretty much giving up in life and getting, you project. So you are now in helplessness. Everybody else has to take care of you. Everybody else has control over your life. Everybody else decides what's good for you. And you kind of just sit there like, tell me what to do. I'm not sure. We get very confused. We feel very down. We feel very drained. We feel like very, very helpless. It's such a sad place to be. And it's a horrible place to be. And, you know, part of the reason why I can come forward and explain all this is because I have learned through experience. So I know exactly what it feels like. And then I've seen it again with my clients time and time and time and time and time again. So it's something that I can come out and express and share through, you know, physical learned experience and then working with clients. So let's see. Remembering people function at face value. Okay. So the very interesting thing about empaths, because we absorb energy, we might actually hold people at a higher standard than who they actually are. And the way that I explain this is when we feel energy, we could feel somebody's physical body and we could feel their soul body. Usually their soul body is bigger than their physical body. Their soul body is usually all-knowing, kind, compassionate, a beautiful being of light. And then we have the physical body. Now, if they're completely detached from their soul, their physical body could be a very aggressive, angry, violent person. The thing I have to tell all empaths is believe people when they show you who they are. And this is really important because it doesn't matter who you feel that they are. You can feel that they have potential, that they're this great, beautiful being. You're feeling their soul. Their physical body is very detached from that. So many times we get stuck in horrible places with really terrible people because we feel their fullest potential. We feel their higher self. We feel their soul. And we just keep waiting for that to come through. And we're like, oh, it's there. I know it's there. And we wait. Walk away. most people don't come into their full potential. Most people don't ever reconnect to the soul. Most people don't function out of soul. So please believe people when they tell you that they are aggressive, horrible, violent people. Believe them and protect yourself. So when we're in that cycle that I was talking about, that energetic negative cycle, we do overthink. And the reason is because we are not using our energy properly. So our energy gets redistributed through our body in an inappropriate way. If we are not using our other chakras properly, then we can get too much into one place of our mind and body. For example, if we get into that place of helplessness, the rest of our body shuts down, because we have now given that away to everybody. Somebody is deciding everything about your life, your job, your career, your time management, your hobbies. They're telling you what you should do, and even your finances, and you just kind of do it. And so then we have somebody who has given away all their personal freedoms, and now they're all in their head. This creates massive anxiety. These are people who might even have panic attacks, daily anxiety. And like I said, I'm not a doctor. Please talk to your doctor. It's just energetically, I've seen it time and time and time again. We get very much in our heads, we overthink, and we are really digesting all the energy around us by overthinking and trying to plan out multiple possibilities and maybe what we should have done better or what they should have done better or how we should have dealt with that. And the truth is that when we are aligned energetically, we are not all up here. We are distributed through the body. So we can now focus on other parts of our reality instead of being completely in one zone in one area. So it is a common issue that they have, or that we have. You have to remember that healing only comes when we can take accountability of everything in our life. That means the good and the bad. That means that we have to be able to say, well, the bad was my fault, but so is the good. You cannot be selective about what you take accountability for. Everything in your life is directly connected to you and a response to your energy. Like I said, if we are in a place where we are not setting boundaries, we attract a lot of negative people. That, again, begins with self. So we always need to understand that taking accountability of who we are, the good and the bad, is the best way to manage our energy and to develop our energy. This is so hard for humans. So hard, because we hate to have to admit that we could be doing something wrong. Especially if you get in a place to helplessness, victimization, or that mortar, you are in such a deep depletion, such a deep wounded state, that it's easier to say, it's their fault why I'm this wounded. When in reality, taking accountability and saying, I am the divine creator of my reality. I create what I choose. I create change. I'm in control. This is where we find healing. This is we find that unlimited plethora of healing. Now that means that we can walk away from anything we choose to walk away from, and now we can change anything we used to change, and we can accept any energy we choose to accept. We are in full control, the good and the bad. So it is the first step in self-development, in cleansing your energy, and in being a stronger soul, and in healing. So it's very important, and one of the hardest ones for humans, really. And that comes with taking back your power. Like, we live in a world, a full world, where we are trained time and time again that we should be helpless, that we should follow direction, that we should be obedient, that we should do what we're told, that we should believe everything we're told. And even I always tell people, my job is not to force information down people's throats. I do not want to fight with you about your beliefs. I do not want to tell you you're wrong. I just share my knowledge and information. If you don't like it, then I have no issue with that. I have no qualms with that. You can go on and live your life freely and not believe me. That is perfectly fine with me. What I don't like is people forcing their opinions and ideas down other people's throats and being aggressive in their state of mind, because that is limiting. You are limiting people to your personal perspective, and that is not something I do ever, and it's not something I appreciate at all. And this is our life. If we are trained this way, then we are very limited in how we perceive our world and our environment. And that has a lot to do with our gifts. We kind of just assume that limitation is key. We assume that we must suffer. We assume that this is okay and necessary. And we let ourselves be a victim to these gifts. So really understanding that we are limitless beings, that we are higher souls, that we are highly evolved, that we have all these abilities that we can tap into and control and be the creator of, is one of the major steps to that transformation that we all seek, that higher connection. And you know, if you look back at history, the actual representation of that limiting behavior, of that fear tactics, has been, you know, killing people who are gifted time and time again. So we do have that fear, and it's a very natural fear. I mean, history has said people who have gifts get killed time and time again. So understand where that fear is coming from and where those limiting beliefs are coming from, and release them. We do not live in that kind of place anymore, most of us, thankfully, but we still have to work to open up. Like, there is a huge shift coming, and people need the courage to step forward and be a part of this shift. It's definitely a million-person shift, so we really have to do this the right way, and that means people have to be courageous enough to step forward. So empaths are usually introverts. Sometimes we're forced introverts, and this is important to understand because this can cause us a lot of confusion and pain. We are usually introverts because we cannot handle people, because we are not in control of our gifts. If you have an empath that is a natural extrovert, that loves people, that loves going out, that loves that kind of attention, they will shun themselves. They will revert to their house and hide. And this creates more issues for them because naturally they need to be out in public, and naturally they love being around people. I don't know what that's like, but there are people out there like that. And so somebody like this who is an empath feels trapped by their gifts. They're stuck at home. They don't want to be home, but they're stuck at home. It's like a perilous to them. And they need to understand that controlling your gifts allows you to be who you are at soul level, meaning that you can be an extrovert again. You just have to learn to control that. You have to learn to master your gifts and set up your energetic code and system and process and digest energy the proper way so that you can go back out and enjoy your life again. And obviously when we do that to the soul, when we don't listen to what the soul's calling for, and the soul says, I want to be out, and we're stuck inside because we're scared, we do starve our soul in that way, and this can lead to a whole bunch of other illnesses and sicknesses. Obviously, if we are not fulfilling our soul's purpose, if we're not doing what we love, if we're not going out like we used to, if we're not doing the things that make us happy, then we do fall into a state of depression. And again, like I said, consult your doctor. But that is, if you're feeling like that is you, that's likely why. And I always say medication sometimes is a necessary part of the plan, because these ailments, these blocks, these heavy energies accumulate so heavily that we do need help getting out of them. So it's important because so much of the spiritual community shuns medication, and it really does drive me crazy. I do love herbs and oils and homeopathic healing, and I do love other holistic healing, and I do love, like, you know, the past life healing and the energetic healing and the Reiki, but I also know that sometimes these things are too heavy for one answer. You know, sometimes these emotions are too heavy for one path out. Sometimes we need many paths working together to help us finally overcome this. And the important thing to understand too is that many times this is not just one life of blocks. Many times we're working on the 6th, 7th, 8th life where we felt like this. And that's why we feel so trapped. That's why we feel so victimized. That's why we feel so out of control of our body and our energy, because it's never just like the first life. It's a system that's continued. It's ancestral karma. It's a pattern that's been recycled time and time and time again. Let's see. So as I mentioned earlier, if we have deep-rooted root trauma, and we are not properly grounding, and we are not properly using our gifts, then we're at a place where we're highly sensitive beings are taking in a lot of negative energy. And this will and can manifest itself as spurts of anger, violence, and aggression, and all of that. So this is like the complete negative polarity of our energy. This is where we definitely don't want to see ourselves. This is like the worst version of ourselves. So we need to understand why that's happening, and we need to create that release and that healing, and we need to restructure ourselves and allow that healing to take place. Okay, this one's important. I'm glad I took these notes. So many times, empaths will take on their family or friends energetically. And because we can read them, we can feel them out, we can tell them what's wrong before they even know what's wrong. But we should not do that. The reason being because we are given words and expression for a reason. And so many times we are inappropriately, energetically intruding in our loved ones' lives. And that can be a big problem. Because your loved ones feel like they have no secrets, and that makes them get defensive. You don't want that in any kind of personal relationship, whether it be children, parents, or your spouse. So it's very, very important. Also, you want them to be able to express themselves, and you want them to be able to keep their voice. Now, just because you have a gift doesn't mean that other people are not allowed to express themselves. And when they say something about themselves, believe it, even if you feel it wrong, because if you love somebody, that is their version of their truth. So you have to understand that just because you might see the root of that, or you might see the energy of that, doesn't mean that their feelings are invalid. And this is important, so important for empaths, because it can be very hard for them to take on personal relationships, because what they do is they just want to feel. They pick up all this emotion and they feel it, and they react out of it. Now, because we're highly sensitive, we might pick up something before somebody even knows it's wrong, or before they know it's a problem. And in that case, we haven't even given them any time to problem solve. We haven't even given them any time to digest it or work it through. And in that way, we are enabling their emotional uninvolvement, because we are taking from them before they can even express themselves. So this is so important, because one day you'll look around and you'll realize that nobody knows how to express themselves anymore, and nobody knows how to talk to you anymore, and nobody can communicate with you anymore. And then you'll be like, well, maybe it's too late for me to work on this. So it is part of the reason why we have such a hard time with our family, our friends, or our loved ones, or our partners, because we simply forget to let them speak, and we forget to let them express themselves, and we forget to listen, truly listen, without, our energy connected or attached. Also, another thing that empaths do is we create, one second, let me take a sip of this. So another thing empaths do is we create energetic cords. They're called etheric cords to people, especially the ones that we love. If we're very worried about them, we might make a hitch, we might connect to them, and we might leave that there so we can siphon energy and information from them all day. This is another dangerous thing to do. What happens is you're pushing back energy back and forth through this hose, this connection. So you feel something before they even know what's happening. Then you react. Your energy reacts. You say, oh, I'm worried. I'm nervous. I'm anxious. You send that back to them. So now somebody who couldn't even digest the first issue is now working on energy that doesn't even belong to them, your reaction. And now they're stuck again. So what you do is you create this cycle where somebody's just sitting there and they're an emotional mess. And they're just like, I don't know what's going on. I'm so nervous. I'm this, I'm that. I don't know what's going on. And it's because you've connected to them. So you felt it and you keep pushing it out, and then you keep picking up their fear, and then you give them more fear, and then you pick up more, and you're like, what am I going to do? You get into this state of like paranoia, and it's like this crazy cycle that never ends until we get a cord cutting. So understand, cord cut, this is the shower thing that we talked about. Shower, I call it shower meditation and cleansing. You cut all those cords every single day. Make sure you're not having any lingering ones. Make sure you're not making it a habit. Make sure that you are free and released of any of those cords or connections. Practice proper energetic boundaries. And I am very vulgar with this because I want people to understand what I mean. Practicing proper energetic boundaries is part of mastery and self-control. This means that You cannot have self-control if you just walk around reading everybody without their permission all the time. Because you are energetically intruding in people's space. Also, you are what you do. If you believe it is okay to intrude into people's energy, then your barriers, your boundaries will never work, because you are not doing what you are projecting. You are not following your own code. If you don't want people intruding in your energy all the time, and you don't want to carry around everybody's trash and negative energy, then don't throw your energy in other people without their permission. And the way that I explain it is, you don't touch somebody's body without their permission, so you should not go into their energy without their permission. It's just a way to show self-control and a way to master your gifts. Self-control is how we master our gifts. So if you want to develop your gifts and be stronger, then you have to learn when it's appropriate and when it's not appropriate to be using them. And again, this allows us to walk into a building and be calm and collected and functional, and not just be everywhere all the time. We have to understand that we have control over that, and that is, you pull in your energy and you set up your barrier and you stay out of people's energy. And if you feel yourself prying or getting information from somebody that you shouldn't be, then you say, whoop, back in here, we're not doing that right now. I'm not working on them, I'm not helping them, I'm not healing them, I don't know them. I was not asked, I was not called, I do not feel drawn, I don't know why you're sneaking out. And then you just put up the wall and you keep on your day. You keep on your whatever you were doing. Vulnerabilities, improper energetic boundaries. Yes. You have to set up, this has to be a routine. I always explain energy. Energy is like a muscle. The more you use it, the easier it is to do, meaning that, like, I had to do this every day, maybe 10 times a day. Now I'm at a place where I'm just like, good, I'm good. I just snap to it and I'm good. I check my energy and it's done. My body knows, my energy knows. It's a system now. So something that could have taken me 45 minutes a day, you know, night, middle of the day, and morning, now is like a snap of the finger. It's not something I need to be doing all the time, because my body is trained, my energy is strong enough now, and it's a practice muscle. So make it a part of your daily routine, but no, eventually you'll be good enough to function without that. It's faster. Okay, so we talked about the rest of the notes. So again, I will answer any questions people have. If you ask below, I will do my best to get to everybody, and share the video, because it's really important. It's something that's not really out there. If you found any part of it useful, I would definitely subscribe and share the video. I do try to post, I'm trying to post more information and get more topics. If you have any topics or ideas too, you can always comment them below. I'm always looking for new things and new things to speak about. It's all stuff that's very normal to me because I see it all the time, so it's hard for me to get more ideas. So I'm always looking for ideas. I'm always looking to challenge myself and my thinking. And again, if you know anybody who could be an empath or suffers from this could be very helpful for them. So it's definitely important to share if you can. And thanks for listening.